1967. Bought the car new, ordered it in January of 67 while I was still stationed at the Army in San Francisco, and just fell in love with the Mustangs. They were just coming out. I happened to see one at the 1964 World's Fair down in Flushing, New York, when they introduced it. And I just said, one day I'm going to have one of those guys. And then off to the Army, off to Vietnam, back. In San Francisco, a friend had a Mustang, a 67. And I said, I'm going to go home and get one of those. So I came home on leave and ordered it from a local dealer here in Troy, and went back and had to wait a few months for it to come back in. Got another leave to come home, bought it, went back in the Army for another 6 or 8 months before I got discharged. And so I've had it since day one.
Now, what actual trim package did you get?
I got the GT package, which came with the GT stripes, and I ordered. Back then you could pick and choose the options you wanted. In the main package was the GT that gave you the hood scoops, and I'm not sure what else, but then I ordered a 4-speed transmission convertible, you know, and kind of went from there with it. And so that was the basic package. I would have really liked the GT 500 convertible at the time, but still in the Army making $200 a month, $190 car payment a month. So I went for the GT, and I love it. I'm glad I did it.
Great cruising car?
Beautiful. And back then, it was really great, cruising up and down the highways and byways and through the city. Really enjoyed it.
How many miles did you put on it?
Right now, it's I think it's just about 90,000, 89,000 some odd miles, but just about 90,000.
So it's a driven car, not a trailered car?
Not a trailered car. Yeah, I never trailered. I always enjoyed driving it. Drove it for about 10 years before it kind of gave up the ghost, and out of dumb luck, put it in the sheds over here. And then it got buried with scaffolding and ladders and things, and at that point it was kind of in tough shape anyway. The body was rotted away, the top was ripped up, so it sat there, and like I say, for about 10-15 years before my son got interested in it and thought we could do something with it. So he played with it for a couple of weeks, and this was back in like around 1989, 90. And after about 2 weeks of playing with the motor, put the key in, started up.
So it's the original motor then?
The original motor, no alterations to it. It's cleaned up and, you know, just cleaned up, that's all, you know. And put new plugs and points and things like that on it, but the original engine.
Now, when you got it restored, was it a father-son thing, or?
Yes, mostly father-son in the rough stages of it. We stripped it down. Originally, he was going to just try to get it running so he could drive it. And we took a fender off, we took this off. Next thing you know, it was down to the frame. So we sandblasted it all down, recoated it all. Then we had professionals put new floor pans in, welding, things like that. But anything we could do ourselves that you could do with a wrench and a screwdriver and things like that, we did. But the body work and paint job, all that was done by professionals right down here in South Troy.
Who did the paint?
The last paint job was Vaughn's Auto down the street down here. Great, they've been around a long time too. We find a lot of things right here in South Troy.
Yeah.
So, but going back to 1990, when we got it going, next thing you know, we, like I said, we took this apart, that apart. Well, then Kevin runs off to college, so it's set. in the shop here for another 5 years or something. Then he came back, we did a little more, then marriage and children. So it took another 20 years or so by the time we actually got it on the road. Probably 5 or 6 years ago, I lose track of time, that we finally got it on the road. And then in the last 2 or 3 years, we've kind of really got it almost up to snuff. You know, always a lot of little things to do with it, but standing here, it looks great, you know, and drives good, so we're happy.
Well, it's when we came to the car show, out of the field of cars, my wife picked your car right out of it, and it was the very first car, so it does look fantastic. It's a beautiful car.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. You know,
What's your favorite story you have with the car?
got to think about that for a minute. There's a lot of favorite stories.
We have all the time. It's up to you.
Let's see. You know, I can't come up with. I met my wife. You know, she used to. We drove this. Picked up both my children in this from the hospital. Drove my wife around for a while before we got married. I think she liked the car back then too, with the top down. You know.
Yep.
Trying to think of a couple other favorite stories.
We can come back to if you want to walk me around it. Tell me some little quirks it still has.
Okay, yeah, let's think of that. Little quirks. No power steering. Okay, back then I again picked and chose. Power steering was maybe $100 extra at the time. I said, no, I don't need that. No power top. It's a manual top.
Wow.
You know, have to put that up and down. And again, when you were 21 years old, no big deal. But that there, I can't think of too many other really quirks. Just like I say, over the years, it's gotten into pretty good shape. New body panels. Underneath the brakes and suspension is basically all new in the last 10 years.